As most of you guys probably know, shortly after moving into the White House for the second time, President Trump announced a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods, and a 25% tariff on all Mexican goods, and a 10% tariff on all Chinese goods. And when that happened, a lot of guitar YouTubers jump into action and made videos about the impact of the tariffs. And some argued that, yes, it is going to increase the prices of guitars for the consumers. Some argued that, oh, it's the end for chips and guitars. And I'm here to tell you that all of that is a bit of a nothing sandwich. I'm not going to lie to you. These tariffs, first of all, are not fully in place, so there's still some negotiation with Mexico and Canada, so there is actually a halt on that. But even if they come into effect, they won't really change any prices for the guitars in any meaningful way for anybody. All right, so let's just get into it without any mumbo jumbos. Like, why is it that these tariffs, even if they come to effect, they won't be impacting the consumers? To do this, I'm going to divide guitars in three categories: high-end guitars, mid-high level guitars, and then lower level entry-level guitars. High-end guitars first. These are predominantly produced in the United States and in Japan and some European countries, for example, Mayonnaise in Poland and a whole bunch of other countries, right? But these are predominantly produced in the United States and in Japan. And last time I checked, the United States won't be tariffing itself, and we don't have any additional tariffs for Japan. So high-end guitars are really not going to be impacted. Some might argue that, oh, the nuts and bolts, the screws used in those guitars might have been imported from China. But if you have like a $5,000-$6,000 guitar and there's like 5 cents worth of screws that they ordered in bulk, double the price of that screw, nothing's going to change in the final price of that guitar. Okay, so high-end guitars are going to be just the way they are. Now, let's talk about mid-level and mid-high level guitars. And these are predominantly produced probably in Mexico, Indonesia, South Korea. Let's just assume there's only 3 countries that produce these, right? Let's just say there are 3 just for the ease of argument. And let's just say that we add 25% tax to all Mexican-made guitars, right? What will happen? And I have an option of buying an Indonesian one of a same quality or a South Korean one of the same quality, but 25% cheaper. I'm just going to buy that. Adding that 25% tariff to Mexican-made guitars is not going to have any price impact on guitars that are made in Indonesia or South Korea or in any other country with mid-level guitars, right? So, nothing, really. I'll just go and buy that. That 25% tariff will probably impact the company more than the consumer, is what I'm trying to tell you. And countries like Indonesia have massive infrastructures and cities like Surabaya, factories like Kort, to produce more and more guitars. They just produce the capacity and they'll add more machines and produce the capacity. Even if there is a market lag of 6 months, it won't be that much. Now let's talk about low-end guitars predominantly produced in Indonesia and China. And well, we're adding that 10% tax, the 10% tariff to all Chinese guitars. What's going to happen then? Okay, you're going to buy a guitar for $200. Let's just say all of that 10% falls on you as a consumer. That $200 becomes $220. Have a think for a second. Is it that big of a problem? Like, do you know what I mean? Most people who afford buying a guitar are not going to lose that much sleep over $20. That's the reality. As much as a consumer, we don't want to pay more. I don't want to pay more. Like, I don't want to pay extra $20 if I don't have to. Do you know what I mean? But if I'm buying a $200 guitar so I don't buy a $500 guitar or a $1,000 guitar, that $20 more is still not going to really make that much of an impact in my decision to buy that guitar or not. Do you know what I mean? And so even if you increase that price, if all of that 10% falls on the consumer, that, it's really not that much, because your final price, the retail price of that low-end electric guitar, is not that high to begin with. 10% of a $10,000 guitar is far more than 10% of a $200 guitar. So really, if you think about it, all of these tariffs, current and potentially in the future. Because remember, the Mexican and the Canadian one is not into effect yet as of today at the time that I'm recording this video. But even if they come to effect, it won't be really impacting the guitar price as much. And consider this. This only applies to like big companies, like big guitar manufacturing companies. We're not even considering all these smaller luthiers that you can find locally. And they can produce you very well-built guitar for not that much of a price. There's so many places that they produce guitars, so many luthiers. This industry is ever expanding, and it's all well and dandy. It's okay. If you hear somebody saying, oh, this is going to impact guitars in a crazy way and all that, maybe take that with a grain of salt. Sometimes it is as simple as that. And we could go and talk about it in more detail. We could have gone and talked about the current state of the tariffs and the 8.7% tariff on whatever. We could go and talk about the de minimis law when, if you bring goods in less than $100, you don't pay any tariffs on it or things of that nature. We could go and talk about business treaties that the United States has with countries like Australia, Canada, UK, and so on. And all of that, we could bring all of that up, but that, to be honest with you, in this instance, is just overcomplicating something for absolutely no reason. The rationale, the logic of this is actually pretty simple. That was a quick video, but hopefully it helped with any potential concern with increasing guitar prices as a result of these tariffs, because again, like I said earlier, it's just a nothing sandwich. You don't have anything to worry about. Enjoy playing. Enjoy buying guitars, enjoy practicing, enjoy getting better at it, and have fun because that's all that matters. So with that said, thanks so much for hanging out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself.